This is going to be something very special and history in the making.
At a great place to do it, full of Australian motor racing heritage. It's Sandown International Raceway, a touch over 3 kilometres long. The outright lap record could disappear today. And that's the scene over this famous pit straight. There's a great crowd all around this venue that have come in to see a little bit of history made today. 560 horsepower each, they're 900 kilos. Matt Nolte, a bit of history starts today.
So here we go for the first time. The lights go out, the wheel spin happens, and S5000 comes to life at Sandown Raceway. All 13 cars get away. It's Macro and Martin who will lead us down to turn number 1 as these thundering S5000s blaze their way down the Brock Straight into turn number 1 for the first of 16 laps. We're 3 wide at the back of the field. Someone had to trip up. It was Rubens Barrichello.
Yeah, there was a bump and run in there. A little bit of contact. There were 3 abreast in the mid-pack. Barrichello came off second best. Great start from Macro from the gripped up side of the road. He was starting on the racing line. He got the best traction and drove away. He leads John Martin. James Golding up to 3rd place. Really good start, Alex Davison. He's got ground. He's up to 4th. Brabham up to 5th. He's been the biggest mover. Could be more. He's wheel-to-wheel with Davison up to turn 6, and he should clear him by the time they get to the left-hander at the top of the hill.
It's around the outside at first straight down at Dandenong Road corner, and Brabham has got up to 4th position. So everybody's safely through past a bit of bump and grind down at turn number 1. You're on top of the Eggleston Motorsport car of Toowoomba's Will Brown, who turned 21 earlier this year. He runs in 8th position as down and we come to complete the first of 16 laps in the first qualifying heat, the first ever run of S5000 here in Australia.
So Macro standing lap 1:13.0. It's really fast. And he's got a bit of a margin, but he's made an error. He locked the rear brakes going into turn 2. Martin will go side by side. Wheel to wheel S5000 racing on lap 2. And it'll be a drag race up the backstretch.
Watch Golding. He's got the speed, but nowhere to go. He'll tuck in the slipstream here of Macro. This is what it's all about in S5000s. Pushing that slipstream down the back straight. You've got Martin on the outside. He may just well be 3rd by the time we get to turn 6.
Wow, huge racing. Great move, Jimmy Golding. Martin's boulder wide up at 6. He's off in the escape road. He'll gather it up, but he's back to 3rd place.
The Brazilian Formula 1 star and Brazil stock car champion from 2014 tries to move around the outside here at the S's on Ricky Capo.
Can't tell you the sensation at this place at the moment. It is quite literally shaking where we are. The thunder as they come past the start-finish line and down towards turn 1 at about 250 k's an hour on approach. It's quicker up the back straight. There's a yellow flag. Who's off? Car 22.
Alexander.
Tom Alexander, the AGI Sport racer.
I thought it was our leader for a minute.
And John Martin's on here. He's got a really good run out of turn 4. The kink at turn 5, easy flat. There's a big bump in the surface there and the car's moving around a lot. And Martin will commit to the outside and clear. Nice pass. He's back up to 2nd.
That's the way Macro just danced through the S's there, the modified turn 6 region. Lots of runoff in the background as down to turn 6 we go. The leader is still Macro, 1.4 seconds. And we go back to this battle pack still between Moya. This is close. Moya opens the door, lets Ricky Capo think about making the move, and all the while Rubens Barrichello might just get the spot as well. Great 3-car battle here. Barrichello sweeps around the outside, uses all that experience from 19 unbroken years of Formula 1, and now gets himself back into 8th.
He'll get another one here too, Matt, because he's got a very good drive out the final corner. That extra momentum he had for sending it around the outside has worked a treat. Here goes Rubens down the inside at turn 1. Big brake lock up though. Will he get it stopped? Just, but he'll run wide and Ricky Capo will try and fight back. Barrichello's got the correct racing line into turn 2, but continuing to torch that right front Hoosier tyre, really struggling under brakes. And that car will have a flat spot now. There'll be a vibration through the front axle of that car. Anton Di Pasquale watching on from pit lane. Paul Morris there as well. I'm sure the dude will try and wrangle a drive in one of these at some point. He'll steer anything else.
So plenty to play out down to Dandenong Road corner. He's right on the gearbox. Coming out of that left-hander and down the short straight underneath the Penrite Bridge. Gap is less than half a second, but there's another battle brewing behind there now between Golding, Brabham and Brown. So 3rd, 4th and 5th. Matt Brabham actually predicted this yesterday after practice. We're going to see several groups of cars that would battle it out here. Wouldn't be follow the leader racing, but they'd spread out with decent pack racing.
This has been a great drive under serious pressure for Tim Macro, and so too for John Martin, who had to fight his way up into 2nd place. Brilliant motor race. Never more than 2 car lengths between them. And a couple of champion race car drivers have put on a great show. S5000 is here, folks. The big bangers are back. And the first qualifying race goes the way of Tim Macro. He wins at Sandown and holds out John Martin and resets the lap record in the process. The second qualifying race is today to build to the final. Brown and Brabham on the front row. Let's go with S5000 Race 2. Great start, Brabham. James Golding, sensational launch from grid 7 down the inside. Watch the yellow and black. He's off the road and driving down the inside, trying to get the race lead. Brabham's in the middle. Davison on the outside. Will Brown's being swamped. It's Brabham through turn 1. Jimmy Golding's going to be second. What a start from Bieber.
It was a huge start from the 4th row. Finds himself second while Brabham leads us through. Ricky Capo trying to make the move on the inside on Alex Davison at turn number 3. But how was the rumble going down the main straight for the first time here at Sandown? All 13 cars let rip onto the back straight.
Remember, the points from race 1 and race 2 set the grid for the feature. So Macro in the box seat to get pole for the main race. Pole tyres, standard on road, everyone locking up, trying to get the thing stopped and turned, and somehow they all make it out the other side. Macro's the fastest man on the racetrack at the moment. He's the 3rd car in this freight train. Race 1 winner, Golding very wide in fact, to open the door for Macro. But he defends and around. Oh no, big spin, Ricky Capo.
That was lucky. Everybody around just avoiding the Valvoline number 34 and stuck in the middle of the track. He'll drop back behind Michael Gibson. A replay thanks to Actron Air in turn 9. It's Barrichello coming through the shot, and in the background, it's another lock-up, this time from Taylor Cockett the Kiwi. Does he keep it out of the gravel? Only just down there at turn 9.
Great job by that outfit GRM to enable that to happen and keep Martin Moore on the racetrack. Here's John Martin. He's the man on the march. He's past Will Brown. He's trying to do the same to Alex Davison. They'll go wheel to wheel at turn 1. Davison defends. There'll be a switchback, but Alex will continue to find himself on the correct side of the road for turn 2.
Great racing, and that really shows you the slipstream effect that these cars are designed to do down the Brock Straight here at Sandown Raceway. Alex Davison just ahead of Martin here. While the front guys continue to trade fastest laps, the gap sits at half a second between Brabham and Golding. You're watching Martin battling with Davison for 4th and 5th. Pulls out for a bit of a look at turn 6, and Brabham is off. Matt Brabham is off the circuit at turn 9. He's going to just get this car out, but he drops out of the lead.
Drivers are saying by this point, tyres are all up to temperature. So curb on the inside, curb on the outside, that's okay. Wow. And just lock the fronts. So that was the same we saw a lap ago with the AGI, the E-Tech Motorsport car. Quite a big whack into the fence as well.
So 4 cars arguing over 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th here as we work lap 8 of 16. James Golding holds the fastest lap of the race at 0.6 of a second to Tim Macro. And this battle, Alex Davison. And now around the outside, here comes John Martin with the move of the weekend. That was huge from the 24 and puts himself up into 3rd place. What a move on the outside. And a new record, 105.0164 for John Martin. Here's the Actron Air replay of Barrichello and Brown, where you thought he was excited about having Barrichello in the field, Will Brown. He's racing wheel to wheel with him now.
We start the final lap, 1 to go. John Martin, 104.5, another lap record on the penultimate lap of the race. How good are these cars over a distance?
Jimmy Golding has been the surprise packet so far. Behind him is Macro, 0.6 of a second behind. He's gone underneath the lap record as well with Rubens Barrichello. But down to the final turn comes James Golding, and he'll start towards the pointy end for the first ever feature race, but he goes into the record books as a 2nd winner in the S5000s here at Sandown, and does it by less than half a second to Tim Macro.
Really good motor race again. Here's how they line up. Tim Macro and John Martin on the front row of the grid. James Golding and Rubens Barrichello from the 2nd.
And the lights are about to go out for the first time. The feature race is underway here at Sandown. Not a great start from the front row, but Rubens Barrichello made a great start. Same too for Jimmy Golding, like he did earlier today in the qualifying heat race. He'll move up into 2nd. Barrichello will move into 3rd place. Martin drops back in behind. We're side by side with Will Brown and Alex Davison, and everybody survives the first corner here.
Poleman was away nicely. Very good launch for Tim Macro. A little bit of wheel spin, but it hooked up in the 2nd phase of the start. Golding away smartly. His start earlier today was impressive. Having said that, McRoy went from 10th to 3rd off the start in the qualifier earlier on today. So the three-time Australian F3 champion leads him up the hill for the first time. Golding second, Barrichello to third. We heard before touch on that little issue he had in the qualifying race that cost him straight line speed. Come back to that because Will Brown's going around the outside of Alex Davison at turn 6 and over the curb. Somehow gathers it up before Dandenong Road. This kid can drive. That is enormous. Great bit of car control and he holds on to it.
Off the track is Ricky Capo, and damage to that car. Looks like his day is done.
Golding slow out of turn 1 and under searing pressure from the bright red pace 111 of 11-time Grand Prix winner Rubens Barrichello. And we're going to go yellow. The ANCAP safety car will be on the racetrack. Now this is about to be an enormously committed bit of race car driving. Big toe, the aerodynamic effect draws him alongside, and by the point he commits, he just goes hard around the outside. More curb than he wanted to use, and on the rack stops in opposite lock, trying to get the thing slowed and stopped without spearing into the barriers. That's an amazing bit of car control.
Now back to the restart here with 20 laps remaining. The first feature race of S5000 here today at Sandown Raceway.
Macro judged it well, but Golding went with him. Davison on the defensive from that man Brabham. We just heard from him. Big lock up. Macro struggled to get it stopped. He's gone. He's thrown it away from the race lead. Buried in the sand trap at turn 1. And off goes Barton Moore as well. His old F3 rivals joined him. Tim Macro's out of the race. Day done, going nowhere.
And the Boylan Group entry spins off into the very deep gravel traps here. A rare mistake from Macro.
As away we go, some struggling for grip and traction behind, but it's a really nice restart for Golding. Leads the field to green. Here's the rush to turn 1. 250 Ks on approach. Does Barrichello have a look? Not yet. Do they all get through? Yes, they do. Good stuff. Nice and clean. It's Golding in front by a car length.
Michael Gibson runs a bit wide at the back there in car number 11, the Apex Racing prepared entry, but it's tightly compressed at the front. Golding, Barrichello coming out of turn number 3 and head down the famous back straight here at Sandown Raceway. Long way to play out in this race as down we go. Big incident. That's enormous on the back straight. And that's Davison. Huge impact. The Astron Tech number 8 goes in hard on the left-hand side.
And that's terrific news that Alex Davison's out of the car. Well, there's proof positive that these things are ultra safe because that was an enormous accident. And Davison clambering out under his own steam. So let's have a look, middle of the screen, about to turn into the kink. And unfortunately, it looks like we might miss the start of it. So he was tucked up behind Matt Brabham. And the car's just fired across to the left-hand side of the road and drilled into that Armco barrier. And good evasive action behind. Bart Moore checked up, trying to get out of the way of Tyler Alexander in the 22. Tom Alexander in the 22 for AGI Sport.
Safety car will lead us around. We're going to finish behind the back of the ANCAP safety car here. The checkered flag is now out to wave, and James Golding will pick up the win in race number 1. A shortened race here today, but we promise you folks this category is going to boom. Golding, Barrichello, and John Munn.
James, you've been in the mix all weekend and you come up on top in the feature race. Didn't end the way that we would rather it too, but how much fun have you had this weekend in S5000?
Oh, absolutely loved it. Yeah, a bit unfortunate we did get to race proper there. I was looking forward to having a battle with Rubens at the end, but yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes. Obviously, just being careful on the cold tyres and all that sort of stuff just to keep it on, and obviously paid off. So, yeah, really happy overall weekend. Just unbelievable experience. So I can't thank Gary Rogers Motorsport and everyone that's helped out.
And the man who's finished runner-up in this very familiar colour car, he's a very familiar face. It's been a real honour and a pleasure to have him here this weekend. Congratulations, Rubens. You made it to the podium, second in the feature race. It's a shame how it ended. Have you enjoyed your weekend, though?
Yes, I hope Alex is okay because I was checking the mirrors and I saw like a white car going, and I was sorry. Then when I came to realize it was him, I hope he's okay. I had a great time, my friend. It's been a blast to drive a fast car once again. They all fast, but you know, the open wheel after 7 years. I hope people enjoy. I'm sorry that we didn't get to race today with the way it was going, but it was just nice to be here.
underway in the southeast suburbs of Melbourne as we get ready for round 6 of the carsales TCR Australia Series.
Here is your starting grid after qualifying earlier today. 2 points going to Nestor Girolami. He will start on the front row. Andre Heimgartner gets his equal best result, same on that front row for Kelly Racing.
The 16th race of the series, round 6, race 1 at Sandown. Big, bad Sandown awaits. The long run to turn 1. Can it be Honda? Will it be Holden? Will it be Honda? Or will it be Hyundai? It's all H's as they lead away on the run down to turn 1. But the pole man has made a really good, solid jump. And already he's weaving to get some temperature in those Michelin tyres. Will Brown through to second spot. And John Martin trying to cover off at turn 1.
So into turn 1 we go. Brown covers off any attack in there. Girolami had a big margin going into turn number 1 as everybody just dips across the top of that curb and settles down. It was a very pedestrian start. Everybody just getting these cars away without incident. An incident now, turn 2 and 3.
Cox and Heimgartner got together. The Astra made a bad start. Now he gives a bump to the back of James Moffat's Renault. Tander lunges Heimgartner onto the back straight. But it's the pole man. Nestor Girolami is clear in the Honda. And Brown, well, out the windscreen, he can attack, but out the rear, he's got to defend. He's in a Honda sandwich. He goes the long way at turn 1. There won't be the grip he needs. He's on the curb there, and that gives Martin an opportunity to challenge and for Girolami to just sneak away.
Can't go side by side through this part of the track, but Martin looks racy. The car steps out a bit.
He's hooked onto the back on this long run down to turn 6. You'll notice the change, the earthworks, the wall's been moved back. Lots of work here for the Melbourne Racing Club in previous months. And now Martin will look to the inside. The Honda makes the move at Dandenong Road corner. And the Civics, they run 1 and 2. The third of them, Tony D'Alberto, buried in the pack. There he is just turning through Dandenong Road. The Astras now are fighting on the run to turn 1. And McAdam is trying to get in the mix as well.
D'Alberto just ahead of this group of cars. Bryce forward protecting the line from Heimgartner, who's trying to gun back through the field after dropping from 2nd. Back into 9th position, into turn number 1. Track continues to dry here at Sandown. Girolami still leads. It's 1 full second. Back to John Martin. Will Brown 3rd, Jordan Cox 4th, and Jason Bright completes the top 5.
And where the Astra struggle, car off the road. That was Heimgartner up against the fence. A drama. Let's have a look at the replay here. He's definitely touched the wall. Is he just, yeah, he's gone too high, too hard, off the curb. In fact, no, he hasn't actually hit the wall. So there's something else going on. We can't take our eyes off this fight. 9th place through back a couple more positions. It is really on outside the 10.
5 cars scrapping out. O'Keefe pulls out to make this nearly 3 wide on the long main straight at Sandown Raceway. So forward ahead of this group of cars in 8th position. And D'Alberto may lose 2 spots here. Going to turn number 1, Dylan O'Keefe will be the big winner here.
We heard just before the start of the race, Matt, and O'Keefe now overcooks it at turn 1, gets away with it. Remember that they've backfilled that curb here in previous years. Back in the day, you just drop it straight off the grass and bounce out through the scenery and bring all sorts of muck. Look at these two, chasing the water. Jordan Cox not chasing the water. Change for the podium. Jordan Cox goes by Will Brown down the back straight as we leap across the curbs to Dandenong Road corner through those high-speed S's. And now it's a tyre conservation run because it's clear these tyres are not liking the track that they're on.
As we head down to turn number 1 once again, order unchanged up in front, but this battle is about to be 4 cars.
Jordan
just
Cox
gets it pulled up in turn 1.
It gives Will Brown an opportunity. The I-30N goes to the grass, trying to hunt the inside at turn 2.
That was cool.
Seek and you shall find. He found it. Now he's got the rear dancing and he's got to get it out of that final turn on turn 4 to get it onto the back straight. On board with Tander. He can see the fight. Look ahead. Cox and Brown, the Alpha and the Hyundai. The 2 young guns side by side over the top of the hill. One of the fastest, most hair-raising rides in Aussie motor racing. And it's Will Brown who hangs on.
And on the charge, the guys at the front, down the inside goes Will Brown. So Brown makes it stick this time through turn number 1 on John Martin.
Championship update, Dylan O'Keefe is still 9th. So for Will Brown, this is great news. Martin now has to defend. Cox is in there too. Right now, though, it's blue Audi versus yellow and black Renault. And fans of yellow and black are up and about after last night at the MCG. But McAdam on the move, P6. Nice fight back from the 2 Audis.
Set him up nicely. That started down at Dandenong Road corner.
That he doesn't need to do. Martin, he's defending. Jordan Cox is going for the podium, and he's going to get the spot. Martin's wide. He's tipped that Honda in plenty of times, and he's not got away with it that time, and Tander gets him on the way through. And now it's a battle. What do you want to be in? Audi? Honda? Inside? Outside? Whichever comes out in front's the one I'm picking.
And they're side by side still, down the back straight with a slowing car. And that's
Jason
Bright.
Bright.
So
Problem for
Bright's
Jason
slowing down.
Bright. Problem for Jason Bright. Look at this. This is wild. Martin hangs it high and tough. Round the outside. McAdams closing in. 4 to go. Girolami leads. 2.2 seconds. Tander's been working forward. Here he comes. He's having a look. Turn 1. Gaps open. He's down the inside for 4th place. Can he pull it up? Yes, he can. And now McAdam will line up and have a run at the Honda.
And it could be 5 very soon. He's trying a long way around the outside here at turn number 6. There's the view from Martin. Will we see the Audi? No, he skates across the track. He still stays side by side into Dandenong Road corner. McAdam shows his nose but ran wide at 6 and will have to regroup through the newly modified section across the slalom and down into Dandenong Road corner for the final time. Martin backs it in, but this guy has been a class act since he touched down earlier this week. And Nesta Girolami converts Astron Tech pole position into race 1 victory here today. Will Brown will be second by 2 seconds. Go back to Cox, who'll get his first podium in the series.
Carsales TCR Australia Series at Sandown. Long straights and a long run down to turn 1. Can they beat the visiting driver, Nestor Girolami? He's left them for dead off the grid again. The Honda's got rolling. TCR is off and racing at Sandown. Look at the margin that he's got on them already. Cox has made a great jump. Will Brown is back in the pack. The series leader is going to be P4, P5. And look out, Moffat wants to put him back to P6. Contact there with Tanner and Brown. Down at turn 1, cold rear tyres. They all managed to get through, but it's Girolami in the Honda who leads the way.
And not the greatest start for Will Brown. He drops down the field. You're in car with Russell Ingall in the Castrol 100 entry, heading up to turn number 3. So he'll have to move back through the field. That car looked evil going through turn number 3 for the series leader, who's on the absolute limit now, winning this series perhaps today.
Brown could seal the deal today. He's got a points margin at the moment. If he retains it or gets it bigger, he's putting a move on Tander. Down at turn 4, the I-30 end, down the inside. That's position number 5, and look who's coming for the ride. Ingall and Tander, former Walkinshaw Supercar teammates, side by side, down the back straight. Ingall on the inside, Tander on the outside. Garth's got his nose slightly in front on the way. Down to the S's. In the end, someone's going to have to yield.
That was great to watch. Cross through turn number 6, and he's got him. He got him 2 through turn number 6. So Ingall up into 6th position now. Bryce forward gets into Morecambe, and Morecambe gets in the gravel. He's going to bury himself. It's just great to see this Renault going strong today.
Whoa, drama. Ingall off the road. The Audi, we saw it in the background, snaking under brakes. And the Enforcer is off at turn 1. Safety car's being called. Gotcha there. Okay, this is a bit more of the story. Oh, looks like he's just lost the rear on the way in. And Ingall biffs the fence. Nice restart from Jordan Cox. The Alfa Romeo Giulietta Veloci is tucked in for the slipstream. And look at them lined up behind. Martin, Brown, Moffat, Tander. They're all in there trying to cover off. No time to warm up the tyres at the moment. They've got to cover the lines. Look at the challenge for the lead. Jordan Cox is taking it up to one of the best TCR drivers in the world. And he got it sideways. They're 4 wide on the grass and on the track. Moffat here goes to 2nd. And Cox has been hustled. Martin, Brown, Tander, Heimgartner's in the mix as well. Through all of that, it's let Girolami off the hook.
It's a feisty restart, wasn't it? You could see it coming a mile away at the restart, but look at the margin the Argentinian has already. It's nearly 2 seconds.
And Moffat's got to cover off. These guys are teammates. Gary Rogers Motorsport, different brands of cars, different colours, same workshop.
Tander in this mix as well. It's a 5-car train. It's Moffat, who's exceeded his best result so far. He runs in 2nd, but under siege here as Cox backs it into turn number 2. He goes across the grass, and this might be enough for Tander. There's contact further back behind with Martin and Tander, and the big winner's going to be Heimgartner.
Martin's in trouble. Right front's damaged on the Honda. He was trying to take advantage of that situation. He is done. He's going to be stuck there and not be able to continue in this race. Here's the boys, the 2 21-year-olds, Brown and O'Keefe. They're fighting for the series title. O'Keefe's got in front. He can keep the game alive, but he needs Will Brown to have a tough run, not finish, not get some points, start down the back for the next race. It's never over until it's over. He's just got to keep pressing on. And we're getting the safety car here on lap 10 at Sandown because of John Martin's car, which is just here on the exit of turn 4 on the back straight.
Which had been given the bad sportsmanship flag as well. It's Alexandra Whitley that stopped as well now in car 35. So Nesta Girolami leads us back around. So a mistake by Moffat on the exit of the final turn. Before we get to the control line, Cox is holding back, and now he can attack. Wow.
And that's the free kick for Girolami because he can't pass him before the control line. But he could have almost argued to say, well, he's off the track. That leaves him open to Tander. But it's let the Honda off the hook for the second time on a restart. Cold rear tyres on the Alpha. They just don't want to know about turning at turn 1. So it lets Moffat off the hook, Tander through to third. Former GRM teammates, they're going to go at it here. And Garth's trying to get down the inside. Turn 4, out he's in the gap. Got it done. But look at that margin. Honda, gone. I wonder what's going on with Will Brown's car because he just does not have the pace in this race. He's been swallowed by the pack. That'll be something for us to cover off in between the races. But O'Keefe here is in front of Brown on the road, having a big fight with Andre Heimgartner, trying to keep the series alive. Keep in front of car number 30, gain more points and take the fight to the bend in mid-November.
And here's Tony D'Alberto as well. He might go down the inside. They bump wheels with O'Keefe through the first turn. O'Keefe to the outside. Another car in the background. That's Brown this time. So the series leader not having a great day here so far as the conditions cloud over here. And now has a lap and a half remaining in the second race of carsales TCR Australia. Moffat runs wide, opens the door for Jordan Cox. He covers him off nicely. Heimgartner fancies the move, locks the front up, gets in the back of Jordan Cox, and now we'll go side by side underneath the bridge. Cox will have the better line. Heimgartner, if he stays there, will have the better run out of the final turn. He can't do it there. He needs to cover off D'Alberto, and he does. Final lap now, 1.6 seconds is the margin first to second. It's 2.5 back to third. Next, Jordan Cox. Heimgartner tries to make the move, locks up, gives him a tap, but now it spins. Cox out of contention. This will light up the pit lane. It's the second time this weekend Nesta Girolami powers out of the final turn and picks up his second win in carsales TCR Australia here at Sandown. Garth Tander will get his best result, second of the weekend. Moffat third, Heimgartner fourth.
There's the signal. Get ready. Front wheel drive, turbocharged, 2 litres, Offered Racing, and it's Girolami has made the jump. The world TCR star has got it rolling with that Honda Civic Type R for the third time in a row, and it's a great jump from Tony D'Alberto. His teammates up to second, Tander back to third, then James Moffat, then Will Brown and Aaron Cameron. They all make it through turn 1. They all look a bit more controlled this time around.
Great start for Tony D'Alberto, up to second position. Couple of cars scattering across the top of the curb, including Liam McAdam. But this is the turnaround that Tony D's been looking for.
Spinner
in the background, it's Brown.
He's in the wall, the championship leader off the road. He already had the rear dancing. He got the curb, he got the other curb gone. Light touch. And he's off and sprinting, 1.6 seconds, leaving the rest to fight amongst themselves. Bright and Moffat arguing over road. Aaron Cameron in front is already in position number 4 in that number 2 Volkswagen Golf GTI. Now Bright tries to slip back down the inside. Moffat in too deep. Couldn't control the Renault. And that's Bryce Forward, the Super 2 Series leader, who pounces in that Holden Astra. And he's got to cover off. Bryce Forward, the Astra, is going to go loud and proud round the outside at the top of the hill. This is big, big stuff. And he's got it done, but he did cut through there. He took the option to cut the circuit there and put the car over the other side of that curve.
So take a look at what happened to Dylan O'Keefe here, down at turn number 9 in car 9, and the Alpha lucky to get away with this one.
Top 2 clearing away. The fight for the final podium position is on. Tony D'Alberto has been a contender all year in this number 50 Honda, representing 50 years of Honda in Australia, and he knows he's vulnerable because he covers on Forward, who is looking to make a dive onto the back straight. Heimgartner's in the mix. Cameron's still there as well. Margin back to the Alpha of Jordan Cox. Then it's James Moffat's Renault. And now it's a fight between the Golf and the Astra. Heimgartner gets the spot on Bright. A little later on, Heimgartner looking again down the end of the back straight, showing the nose before they crest the hill. Tander here's made margin, Matt, but he hasn't been able to make much more. It's line ball stuff. The sectors are so close between the Honda and the Audi. Back on board here with Will Brown, and this is his teammate Nathan Morecambe up in front. Surely he's not going to make this difficult. Well, that's one way to let your teammate through. Ooh. Run off the road.
Heimgartner this time down the inside and gets the job done through the left-hander. So the 777 moves up into 4th position and starts the chase on Tony D'Alberto.
We've got a motor race at Sandown, and Garth Tander is defending the honour for Australia in the carsales TCR Australia Series. He's closing in on a guy who has got great credentials. He's been a race winner this year in the World TCR Series. Yeah, Jack, and she's just pulled up on the run towards turn 1 to driver's left, hut up against the Armco next to the horse racing circuit. She's well out of the way there and well off the racing line, but let's see what race control decides to do. That's Heimgartner making a lunge down the inside at turn 1. Now with the yellow flags there, because of that car parked on the side of the road, there was a green in the background, but was there a yellow at the start of the sector when he made the move? That's what we need to find out.
I caught team manager of HMO, Scott Fulcher, calculating some numbers because obviously the series is on the line here. He could provisionally, potentially wrap up the series after this race. But did you have the chat before this weekend to stay safe out there?
Absolutely. There's a lot riding on this. It'd be great to win the first TCR Australian Championship. So the aim for this weekend was absolutely just to go out, stay clean. Hasn't really been so clean this weekend. But so far it's looking good from the points perspective.
It's down to turn number 9 comes Nesta Girolami. Garth Tander in second. He stayed there. He shadowed the Argentinian all day long here at Sandown. Forward runs off the track. And turn 9, this will give Jordan Cox a free kick. So the Alpha moves up another position. But out the final turn, it's been nothing but the Argentinian all weekend. And the broom is out. It's a clean sweep of the weekend here at Sandown. Nesta Girolami wins race 3 of carsales TCR Australia. Garth Tander will be second, Heimgartner third. And off the track goes Jordan Cox. Another sensational finish here. And the 7 off the track, out of business.
Will Brown, you and HMO Customer Racing provisionally are the winners of the inaugural carsales TCR Australia. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it feels awesome. It's a bit bittersweet after fencing it on lap 1 by myself, but you know, we fought back and was able to pass a few people and get there. So can't thank the boys from HMO Customer Racing enough. And like you said, provisional Australian champion, but hopefully don't take anyone out the last one and get a penalty, so we'll be right.
Hi everybody, welcome along to round 5 tonight of the carsales ARG eSport Cup. I'm Aaron Noonan and he is not Tony D'Alberto. After 5 weeks we have finally got Tony behind the wheel tonight on the field of 44. Cameron Vanderdungen joins me as my co-commentator tonight, who of course is part of the Shannon's Motorsport Australia Championship TV pit lane team. And Cam, tonight, what are you looking forward to most as we let these Formula 3 cars and 44 drivers loose around the circuit at Catalunya in Spain?
Well, I am a purist. I love my open wheel racing. Therefore, I look to the guys that have got open wheel pedigree out there. And you cannot go past Tom Randall, Jimmy Golding, Tim Macro, superstar in an open wheel car. And Johnny Martin, I mean, he was a star in open wheelers over in Europe, raced with Alan Docking Racing. And he'll know Circuit de Catalunya quite well.
He went very well last week when we put the Formula 3 cars on. The home of the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, finished third in the second race. Format tonight is the same as it was last week with 2 races. The second race will have the front half of the field inverted from the previous finishing order of the first race. Let's take a look at the series points after the last round last week. Harley Haber, he's been a star, a win and a second place last week. He leads the way, 239 points to Ash Sutton on 216. It's really tight in second through to fifth, just 16 points between Sutton, Nathan Hearn, Dylan O'Keefe and Jaden Ransley, who represents TCR New Zealand.
Tonight, Cam, we let two star drivers loose behind the wheel. Oscar Piastri, one of the rising stars in open wheeler racing, and Tony D'Alberto, who, of course, well, his reputation precedes him, really.
Yeah, well, he'll tell you he's a star driver, won't he? But Oscar Piastri is the real star in that. Just a young gun, won the Formula Renault Euro Cup last year, the championship. He's part of the Formula One pathway now, and Renault Australia, a big part of TCR Racing in Australia, and it's great to see them bringing him along as well. And Oscar Piastri, he should be one to watch.
Absolutely should be. And we started this season with Audi touring cars. Now we're in the Formula 3 car. So let's take a look at where they're racing tonight. Round 5, Barcelona. It's 4.65 kilometres. It's 16 corners. It's a very, very technical course. Everyone is behind the wheel of the Dallara Formula 3 race car. And with 44 drivers and a tight track, when you space them out around 4.5 kilometres, I've got a funny feeling that we're going to be in for some drama tonight. Do you agree?
Yeah, turn 3. Watch out there with that high load corner, but then the hairpin. That one, I think we might see a few, what do they call them? Lunges.
There'll be big lunges. There'll be a lot of licking of stamps going on as people send it up the inside of a lot of other drivers. We saw an amazing round 7 nights ago at Monza. Let's take a look at the highlights. And this was race 1. First chicane, first, 5 or 6 cars got through okay. Jaden Ransley ended up around in front of the field, and from there, it was total chaos with cars going every which way. Good time to be in the carbon fibre business. Nathan Hearn, he had contact from behind from Niels Jangerveld, the Dutchman, who was given a drive-through penalty for that incident. And Ash Sutton, one of our title contenders in the Panther Fuels car, off the road, the former British touring car champ, tasted a bit of the wall. Harley Haber, though, the Kumho tyre car, he was the man in race 1, absolutely got away. Race 2, some of them were smart. They went to the chicane to avoid all the drama at that first corner. But for some of them, though, they ended up with their own dramas. Barton Moore lit up the rears, spun on the exit of turn 1 while in a good position. Harley Haber fighting from 20th on the grid. Remember that we take the top 20 finishes and we reverse them for the second race. This was the move of the night. Watch this, down the inside, last moment towards the chicane, puts a move on Tom Randall, who at the next chicane tried to make it all back up and ended up turning himself around and took himself out of what would have been a very good result. Niels Jangerveld penalised in race 1, put to the back in terms of that penalty, but it put him in the inversion zone, so he moved his way forward and he went on to take the second race at Monza last week. So we're getting set for round 5 tonight from Barcelona. Qualifying is underway. Astron Tech qualifying is underway. Before we take you to qualifying, though, here's a special message from our friends at Total.
Unbelievable! Oh, hello there. I'm Jean-Michel Courtois, Director of the Total Engine Oil Research Center. And you're here to discover our secrets, aren't you? Well, follow me. Let me show you what we do here. Ladies, gentlemen, ready? Let's push Total Quartz engine oil to its limits under the extreme conditions of motorsports. Amazing performance. Good job, team. The track is our lab. Total Quartz.
Company wherever you are watching around the world online. Qualifying is rolling with round 5 of carsales ARG Esports Cup. Tonight it is from the Barcelona circuit in Spain. Formula 3 cars are the cars of choice. I'm Aaron Noonan. Alongside me to call all the action tonight is Cameron Bandendungen. We have 2 races coming up a little bit later, but we are in the middle of qualifying right now, Cam, and it's no shock that one of our star drivers, Oscar Piastri, is the fast driver so far. 1:37.017. We are into Astron Tech qualifying. His fastest time in practice early this evening was a 1:36.7, so he's got very close to that on that first flying lap.
Thanks, Aaron. It's great to be here, and it's exciting to see Formula 3 cars at the Circuit de Catalunya as well. It's a favourite of Formula 1 teams for testing. It's a wonderful track, very tough to pass, especially in these sorts of cars. Very much a high downforce circuit. You need a lot of good slip step trimming. Turn 3 and 4 very difficult, but we'll see some big moves down at turn 10 at the hairpin.
Piastri is one of 2 star drivers in the field tonight. Tony D'Alberto is the other, the Honda TCR driver, as we look at the number 81 car in the Renault livery. Of course, Piastri is a member of the Renault Sport Academy for 2020. Here is Tony D'Alberto in the number 50 car from Wall Racing. Been a long time since TD has driven an open wheeler. I think it's Formula Ford in about 2003. He's on the line now. Hey, Tony, this is a bit different, my friend. I am missing you from the commentary box.
Yeah, it's very different where I'm sitting too, I can tell you. But having a bit of fun here, just trying to learn the ropes. Got a lot of work to do.
Where is the place that you need to do all the work? Turn 1 right through to turn 16?
Yeah, pretty much actually. It's I'm struggling a little bit at the moment to get tyre temp up. It's out of trouble. It's chaos out here.
I'm just hearing excuses, TD.
Well, I want to ask Tony a question as well. Tony, your setup, how is it compared to some of the other rigs we've seen out there from some of the other drivers? You're pretty happy with your home setup?
Oh, look, I'm just in the process of sort of upgrading it. I got a new steering wheel today actually, so I tonked that on, and I'm just sort of getting my head around that. And I've got some pedals coming, so hopefully that will improve it a little bit, because the sim that I'm running is got a few years on it. But it's I think I've got a lot of work to do before the sim really helps me that much.
All right, we'll let you get your head back in the game here. Tony D'Alberto there in the number 50 car. He's on your screen at the moment in this Astron Tech qualifying session. 11 minutes to go, and Piastri has lowered the mark. 1:36.718. Harley Haber, the series leader, is second fastest in the Kumho tyre car. Garth Tander, we are watching in the JMEC Racing number 75 car. Again, he's racing on the sim at the Melbourne Performance Centre in Melbourne tonight. And F3 last week was the first time he'd actually raced a Formula 3 car of any description. Nathan Hearn now jumps to 3rd spot. So we're starting to see the times tumble, and it's a case of finding some clear road. 44 cars on a 4.5 kilometre track means it's pretty busy out there.
Garth Tander on screen at the moment. We walked past him before. He's been taking this extremely seriously, putting in a lot of time behind the wheel of the sim. So he'll be hoping for some good things. His wife, very exceptional Formula 3 driver back in the day, was quite a feature in the Australian Formula 3 Championship some years ago.
Runner-up twice in the Australian Drivers' Championship for the Gold Star. As we watch Garth Tander in the number 75 car, let's jump on board with Garth Tander as he takes us for a hot lap of the Barcelona circuit in this Dallara.
Welcome to Barcelona in Spain at the Circuit de Catalunya for round 5 of the ARG Car Sales Esports Cup. We're in the F3 cars again this week. The Dallara DW12. 6 gear down the front straight. Much different circuit to what we raced in Monza last week. Fast entry, hard on the brakes. Back to 3rd gear for the first corner. Bit of a chicane this one. Important to get on the gas early for then through 2, then turn 3. It's almost flat out. Remember, we saw in F1 here a couple of years ago, Romain Grosjean wipe out nearly half the field through turn 3. Turn 4, 3rd gear. Starts tight, but then opens up. Up to 4th gear. Then got to be careful of this 2nd gear hairpin in the middle. Drops away from the inside. Easy to lock an inside front. On the power nice and early for the run out of there. Up to 4th, 5th gear to this really tricky change of direction. Important uphill, so it's important to get on the gas early. Watch that curb on exit. Place there for circuit limits, and then this fast kink in the back straights, almost flat out. Important to get a good run there because it's the 2nd longest straight we're on now. Up to 6th gear and heavy braking. 2nd gear. Lots of dive bombing going to be happening in there. Got to be careful on the throttle. Up to 3rd gear, hold 3rd. Quite a technical follow the leader section through here. On the gas nice and early into the new chicane that they introduced a couple of years ago. Really technical. Oh, watch the curbs, and then on the gas nice and early. Back onto the circuit, flat out through the last corner. Onto the front chute. Much more technical circuit than we were at Monza last week. Won't be the slipstreaming battles, but there'll be lots of braking duels. Can't wait. See you Thursday night, 8 p.m.
Barcelona circuit with Garth Tander on board the number 75 JMEC racing car. While we were riding with him on that hot lap, let's have a look at the Total replay here, Cam. And this is the run up around turn 4. And I've got a funny feeling this car in the way is going to cause a drama, and indeed it does, over the back of one of the HMO cars, Nathan Morecambe in car number 11. And that was pretty clumsy. That car didn't need to be there at the time of that happening.
No, they'll be needing a new front wing there. So back to pit lane, get a new one put on, and away we go again. Piastri still leads from Haber. Hearn, Jacquemin is also there in the top 4, and O'Keefe in the top 5 with just over 7 minutes remaining in qualifying.
Looking here at James Golding, he's next in the order cam. P6 in the Team Valvoline GRM, of course, representing S5000. There's about 8 or 9 drivers that flag for the Big Banger open wheeler category tonight. This is as close as we can get to an S5000 car on the iRacing platform, the Dallara F3, with a couple of less horsepower than he'd be used to from that big banging V8 that's in the back of the S5000, but he's doing a nice job. Runs in the top 6 at the moment. A 136.5 is his last lap, which was his best lap of the session. The time they're all chasing, Oscar Piastri, the 19-year-old young gun, 136.718. Just over 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying. So still a bit of time to work your way up the order here. But qualifying at the front is more crucial at this track than probably any other that we've been at so far this year in the carsales ARG eSport Cup, simply because when you look at the 16 corners, there are basically none where you can actually really overtake unless something catastrophic happens for your rivals. Jordan Cox here, car 6. Gary Rogers Motorsport, quite achiever in this series so far. He's 8th in the points coming into tonight's 2 races. We haven't sort of seen him running top 3 or 4, but we've had a lot of yo-yos in the field who run really strong in one race or one weekend or one night, I should say, and struggle in the others. But he's been there or thereabouts in the tail of the 10 quite often.
Probably a good opportunity to shout out to all of our viewers from Improved Production, the category that brought Jordan Cox to all of our attention through the internet sensation YouTube videos we saw at Mount Panorama and Adelaide Street Circuit.
Is this the bit where we introduce you into this part as giving a shout out to all your Improved Production friends as well? The ones who get to race versus you who do a lap and then park. That's.
Don't worry about me. I'm just giving a shout out to all the people that do watch him, because Jordan Cox, and let's talk about this driver who came into TCR last year, an unknown entity in in motorsport, but those that had been in and around New South Wales state racing in particular, just how talented he was.
Yeah, he's getting held up here. He's trying to get by Braden Wilmington, who's just in front in that green and white number 89, another of the S5000 drivers in the field tonight. And this is that final complex that we're using the Grand Prix circuit, so that's that right, left, right chicane sequence that pops them out, because in the past it was full bore out of the second last corner into this one, and it set up an unbelievably quick run onto the pit straight, and that's what Cox is trying to do here. He's cost himself heaps of time there.
Every part of Jordo will be wanting to do a bump and run at the moment. Every part of him. He's not an open wheel driver. He's having a look up the inside. Good job, Jordo. Can he get it done under brakes down into turn 1? He doesn't. Flips on the way through.
That was messy. That just didn't need to happen between those two, and that puts Cox around, and I hope that doesn't compromise somebody else who's on their way through turn 1. Oh. That's what I was talking about as he flick spins. Left rear was busted, and now it's fully busted because he's been clipped on the way through. Let's look back a bit further in the pack, and this is Nathan Hurd, the Gulf Western Oil 29 car, he's in the fight in the series. He's 3rd in the points. He's only 3 behind Ash Sutton, and looking at Tom Randall now as well in that ACT Fence Hire car. Those liveries are almost identical. Michael Clemente just behind in the Worth number 15 car. And Thomas Golding, Tom Randall, I should say. I was looking at Golding on the timing screen. P11 at the moment for Randall. Of course, he'll team up later in the year with Brad Jones Racing. Nick Percat's co-driver in the number 8 insert livery here, Commodore in supercars. Hard to know what to call it because they change every weekend. Car off the road there in the background on the exit of turn 3. This is the run down to turn 4, another long winding right-hander that sets them up to a left-hander at turn 5 that tightens back on itself.
Tom Randall was an outstanding driver in the very first season of Australian football, and he just dominated on street circuits. Found out a little later on that he was slightly down on power when they did some straight line testing early on or midway through the season, but unbelievable talent behind an open wheeler. We really sort of started to notice him when he jumped behind his father's sports sedan, though, early on in his career, which is a big beast of a car. Very different to a Formula 3.
Yeah, you went where I was going to go. That sub sedan very different from the nimble Formula 3 car that he's behind the wheel of here. He's a bit too close to James Golding that he would have liked here, because he's got a bit more pace here, and this is not what he needs. A car right in front, taking away the front aero downforce off that car, and now he's going to get on by as Golding steps aside, so it allows Randall to set up this run through this final complex of corners. It's a 16-turn circuit, the Grand Prix circuit at Barcelona. Of course, it's been in play for Formula 1 since 1991, and It's a place that has hosted many a good Grand Prix over the year, and let's see if Randall can move his way into the top 10 this time around. He's still 11th on our timing screen as it sits at the moment.
Interesting to talk about this circuit. If you are new to sim racing or virtual racing, and those that do tune in through the various media platforms, we'll just check in and see what it's about. That's actually very realistic on tyre life as well. And this circuit in particular, especially off the back of turn 3 and turn 4, really eats into your tyres. So you really need to look after it and manage them throughout the course of the race.
Nathan Hearn, 6th fastest at the moment in the Gulf Western Oils car. Of course, Trans Am driver representing that category. We've got a range of different Australian Racing Group categories represented in this field in this carsales ARG eSport Cup, from Trans Am, from Touring Car Masters, and you give him a wrap and around goes Nathan Hearn on the exit of turn 2, spins it, gets it straightened, exits the zone, and if we didn't have the camera on him, we probably wouldn't have known he did it. Got it going very quickly. Piastri's still on top, 36.71. Harley Haber not far away, 36.86. Luca Giacomo next from Ash Sutton, the former British Touring Car champ, who, well, when we swapped to the open wheeler cars last week at the Monza round, struggled a bit further back in the pack, but he has stepped up now. He's 4th from Dylan O'Keefe, then Nathan Hearn, James Golding, Jay Hansen, Tim McReynolds and John Martin. That is the top 10 as they sit. Here's Stephen Johnson in car 17, the true blue open wheeler, which is a very strange thing to say, Cameron. Johnson in an open wheeler is pretty rare. I do remember way back when Stevie J having a go in a Formula Holden and was keen to try to do something there, but didn't really go on with it. So Formula 3 car with Johnson at the helm is something really different.
Let's talk about the fact that open wheel racing, Aaron, is normally the world of the lightweight jockey style of driver. Someone a little bit unfamiliar to yourself, Noon. So you and Stevie J are probably of the same ilk.
Change for the top. Pole positions change, Cameron. I'm not avoiding your question. Don't worry, I'll get back to the comment in a minute. But Giacomo has gone to the top of the timesheets. 1:36.667. He is now 0.05 faster than the young gun Oscar Piastri. So Giacomo, who was a wild card again tonight, there was a wild card race last night where the top 3 finishers worked their way through into the field for tonight. We've got 2-star drivers, 3 wild cards, field of 44, and here is Piastri in that 81 car, the HP Tuners with the Renault livery. Of course, he's part of the Renault Sport Academy program this year, last year's Formula Renault Euro Cup champ, managed by M. Webber's management company. So he's certainly in the right place, and he's in the right place at the moment because he's on the front row of the grid with qualifying, just finishing in this form of racing. Once the checker flag's out, that's it. It's all over. You don't get to complete that lap and sort yourself out to try to go faster. That's the way they'll line up for the first of 2 races. Giacomo and Piastri on the front row, Harley Haber and Ash Sutton. So Haber and Sutton are 1-2 in the points coming into tonight. They are on the second row. Then Dylan O'Keefe and Nathan Hearn. Nick Carroll's done a good job. Jumped to 7th right at the end. James Golding, Tom Randall jumped to 9th, and Jay Hansen. That rounds out the top 10 in the field of 44 for race 1.
Yeah, great to see Oscar Piastri doing a wonderful job throughout that session, but Giacomo just got him done right at the very end, and interesting that checkered flag flies. That's the end of that session. A little bit like a Formula 1 qualifying session about 5 years ago when they tried that new format. Remember in Melbourne, I think it lasted 2 race weekends, and then it was all over.
Hey, let's have a chat to Oscar Piastri, who joined us on the line. Hey, Oscar.
Hey guys,
how's it going? For so long, and you pipped right at the end.
Yeah, I thought I had it, to be honest. Sitting 3/10 clear for a lot of it, and then I had Luca behind me and saw he was going pretty quick. But yeah, toe's going to be pretty big, so tight at the front. See how we go. Try and keep it out of the fence. That's the plan.
Yeah, that does help. Hey, this track doesn't matter what race car you're in, it's damn hard to pass on. 16 corners. How many corners are realistically a place where you can pass here?
I reckon turn 1 and the end of the back straight are the main 2. Everywhere else it gets a bit risky. But yeah, I'd look for the action at turn 1 and the end of the back straight.
All right, we'll let you get ready for race 1. There he is, Oscar Piastri, one of our star drivers tonight in round 5 of carsales ARG eSport Cup. If you don't follow open wheeler racing a great deal, that's a name that you better write down because he's a guy that you will most certainly be hearing a lot from in the next few years.
Yeah, FIA Formula 3 World Championship. There's 4 Australians entered for 2020. It's the number 1 country of origin in terms of the most drivers entered. So he's top of the list because he's part of the Formula 1 program.
Let's get racing underway down at turn 1, and it is Rose. This is top. Piastri will be on the inside of the next turn. Points leader in the background. Harley Haber off the road in the Kumo tyre car. That's big in the series. Piastri's the leader though. Giacomin slots into second. There's Haber, middle of the pack. He might have to rely on the reverse grid race 2 to get his way back up the order, but race 2 is only worth half the points of race 1. Piastri though, leader at the moment, 20-minute race, and it is on at the front.
So Piastri just has to keep it clean. Out in front, he's just driving nice smooth lines. There's a big move behind those. That Hearn and O'Keefe just starting to make a move. No, O'Keefe's just dropped off the back of it. Sutton and Hearn.
Contact for third place. Ash Sutton gets involved and launches off the side. That's damaged the Panther car, and now he and James Golding get together. They are off the road on the exit of turn 9, I think that is, and they are literally hooked up. Plenty of damage there. Piastri and Giacomin getting clear. We really thought that there would be a bit of drama in this race with 44 cars, but they're already starting to space out because of a few of those dramas. There is some desperate stuff, and there's some contact back in the pack as well going on. This is wild. There's cars going everywhere. Jaden Ransley's around. There's cars on top of one another. It has been a wild first lap. It is hard to get to the bottom of who's done what to who until about 3 days after these rounds.
And let's be honest, it's not unusual to see pile-ups like that a little bit further back in the field as well. Just have a look as we start to breathe at the moment in this race. And no, we don't, because we've got more carnage going on a bit further back as well. But Piastri still leads as there's cars reversing on the infield, and there are cars everywhere at the moment. Piastri, Giacomin, Hearn, O'Keefe, Hansen, your top 5. Randall up into the top 6.
Great start from Randall, started P9 on the grid. Nathan Hearn, I want to talk about him. The Gulf Western Oil car, the Trans Am driver, is in 3rd spot. He comes into tonight 3rd in the points. Ash Sutton, 2nd, and Harley Haber 1st are now miles back in the race. Here's his big chance to make a fistful of points back on them with a race to come later on tonight. We're on board here with Thomas Randall in the 49 car, looking back at Jordan Cox. That is the fight for 5th and 6th, with Jay Hansen actually now in among them all as well. As we're on this 2nd lap, it's a timed race for this series, so it's a 20-minute race, and we look back to the leaders, and Hearn's going with them. He's certainly keeping up, but then there's a bit of a gap back to the next group that's led by Dylan O'Keefe in the number 33 car. Giacomin goes around. The pole man has a spin down at the hairpin at turn 10. He gets going again, but he has dumped heaps of positions and has just handballed the big opportunity to Oscar Piastri to drive away with this win.
So it's Piastri, Hearn, O'Keefe, Randall now up into the top 4. So Tom Randall, he's got his own sim set up, his own sim business these days, and putting in plenty of Ks behind the wheel of his own setup up into the top 4. Great to see. Ricky Capo, he's out in Modem Simulation, and he's been working with the guys out there. Stephen Hoinville runs a great show. Virtual reality mixed with motion simulators. Wonderful setup.
And he's right in among with Luke King in the 222 car, that red, white and blue car. He's one of the wild cards that earned his way into the race tonight from last night's wild card race, and he's going really well. He's sitting up in the top 10 quite comfortably at the moment. Another one off down at turn 1. Ricky Capo having dramas, so that's a spot there for Garth Tander, who sneaks on by into what should be position 8. So big fight back from Garth Tander. Started a bit further back in the pack, but stays clear of all the drama and manages to work his way up the order. So Harley Haber's been to the pit lane for repairs in the Kumo car, and that drops him in position 23. He needs to be in the top 20 to take advantage of the inversion, to get himself back to the front at least and salvage something in the last race. Tanner's had a spin in the fence. Right rear damage, right front's gone, wing's gone. Big drama for the big fella, and the 3-time Bathurst 1000 champ has tasted the wall, and he is going to have to limp it back to pit lane. He's cooked for this one.
So he just gets out of the way, and let's look at the Total replay here.
Was it DIY or was it an assisted departure on the Total replay?
I think we could actually hear his thoughts in the background.
He is only 2 rooms down from us here at Melbourne Performance Centre at the Audi Sport Customer Racing headquarters, and I think I did hear something in the background there. So
it might have been a crow call is what I heard, I think it was.
It might have been one of Graham Kennedy's finest. Yeah. Here's Tom Randall, ACT Fence Hire car. Jaden Ransley here, the young Kiwi, trying to fight back. He was involved in a bit of drama on that first lap. It's great that we get to talk to the drivers between races, because quite often we have to ask them just what happened to them, because it's so hard to keep up with who did what to who in each of the races, but Piastri leads the way, 1.2 seconds back. Ransley here on the fight back trail, trying to get a move on Michael Clemente in that Worth number 15 car. Of course, TCR Australia driver this year in a Honda Civic Type R. And now we're down at turn 1. Car off the road in front, so there is an instant spot. Oh, 2 cars off the road. Giacomini's off the road again. He has had a filthy night so far, a spin on his own, and now he's off the road at turn 1-2. Turn 1-2. You know what I mean? Turn 1
I know
as
what you
well.
mean. Plenty of drivers talk about turn 1 and 2, just the setup for turn 3 here, so we'll give you that one, Noons. Don't worry about that. But Piastri, well and truly in control of this race, out in front.
Another one off the road there in the side of shot there. And that's Will Brown, who has had a tough run. It's not very often. Wow, it just
that's
blew
a two-wheeler
the
now.
tire off.
That's a two-wheeler. Front left and rear right. How did he manage to do that?
Well, let's have a look and see how he started his renovations on his Dallara. Number 1, HMO Customer Racing entry down the inside of Nick Carroll, I think that is. That went okay. That was fine.
Oh,
That's not. There was a bump there, and they've blocked wheels. Ended up in the wall. The right front's gone.
Now wait for. How does he lose the left rear though as well?
He gets going again.
Oh, no, there it goes.
The left rear. So he's down to 2 wheels. Yeah, that's a tough way to go. He sits 49th in the series points. Hey, let's have a chat to our 3rd place driver. Dylan O'Keefe is fighting the good fight at the moment for Renault Sport GRM. Hey, Dylan, how are you tracking here? Those front 2 are pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of quick people in this field, we know that. So I'm just trying to do my own thing, be consistent. So looking good for the championship if I finish the race where I do. Just got to stay focused. I mean, the Discord I was in before was pretty hectic with all the guys non-stop talking because they all got taken out. And I'm like, guys, I'm in a good position. Can you just be quiet for a moment? And that's what I said to AJ before putting me in with you guys. I said, mate, I'll do the chat as long as you don't put me back with them.
Mate, you can stay with us for the rest of the night if you like and get some quality commentary for your driving. We'll accompany you all the way. We'll sing some tunes for you. You know, we're here to help.
Sounds good to me. Can you knock these front 2 off as well?
Don't know whether we've got that much power. You're going to have to get up on the wheel and go chasing. You've got about 12 minutes of racing left to hunt them down.
Perfect. We'll see how we go. Cheers, guys.
All right, mate. There he is, Dylan O'Keefe in 3rd spot in the number 33 Renault Sport GRM entry, the white entry that is on your screen at the moment. Behind him is Tom Randall. This is Jaden Ransley continuing that fight back mission. He's behind Brett the Jet Holdsworth, who of course has been racing in Trans Am, but we know Brett from his days in Commodore Cup. Ransley now is in the tow on the run down the back straight, and Brett's going to defend that one. In fact, he can't really do too much about him, and he gets on by. So change of position for the young Kiwi. He moves up to 11th, and next on his little hit list is Aaron Cameron, who we haven't really seen. And as soon as I say that, we see him. It's like the power of the TV producer gives us the shots and the drivers that we're after. It's like they're listening to us or something.
2019 was a breakout year for Aaron Cameron, wasn't it? So great to see him just rising in expectations as Tom Randall's getting closer and closer now to Dylan O'Keefe. So Dylan O'Keefe, he was worrying about the cars in front. I think he needs to worry about the car behind him now as Tom Randall tries to make his way through.
Speak of the devil, let's head to Melbourne and have a chat to Tom Randall. Tom, nice fight back here. 9th on the grid, P4, 3rds within sight. And this is not too bad.
Thank you, Noonsy. Good evening to you as well. Yeah, we kind of struggled in qualifying. I honestly thought I could have been up a bit higher, but had a crash at the start, which sort of didn't help our qualifying session. But good thing about these games is you can get the car back out there. So, yeah, no, it's going well. I think if we can sort of maintain this position or just close into Dylan, that'd be great. It's sort of, yeah, we're just sort of going hammer and tong here at the moment. So if he can just make a little mistake, hopefully we can capitalise on that.
Hey, Tom, it's Cam Vandendungen here, mate. Good that you could give up beach volleyball tonight to come and join us for this racing, mate. I'm glad you could tear yourself away.
Yeah, look, hey, I'm going to correct you there. It's actually regular volleyball. But, yeah, no, it's good. Normally we play on Tuesday nights, so good thing this is on Thursdays. But, yeah, looking forward to getting back into that and looking forward to get back in these S5000s when all the COVID pandemic is over.
Yeah, we've got a range of S5000 drivers in the field tonight. You are class leader of S5000. Well done. Good stuff.
Oh, thank you very much. I should probably be doing better for the category because I say S5000's open wheelers. We're in open wheelers and I'm not leading. But look, Oscar's a race winner here in Renault, Formula Renault. So, and he's a Formula Renault champion. So I didn't expect too much less of him tonight. But no, he's doing a great job. And yeah, I'm just having lots of fun, and I hope you boys are as well.
We're always having fun, mate. We'll let you get back to it. All the best. Tom Randall, there he is in 4th spot in the number 49 car. We're counting down just under 10 minutes to go in this first race, Cam, and it's Piastri leading the way. It's about now in the race, once we get past halfway, when we start to play the who's 20th game, because that's pole position for the next race. Right now, it is car sales own Mike Sinclair. Here he is in car number 4. He is currently sitting in 20th place. Don't worry about the car behind him, because that's Luca Giacobin, who is not for position. He is down the order further, so Mike needs to let him go, focus on his own driving, focus on his own piece of track, and he's on target for the pole position for the next race.
I've been really enjoying watching Mike Sinclair's journey with sim racing. He's another one who's been using the motor simulation gear, and he's been quite prolific on social media, giving us updates of how he's learning. He's really coming along in leaps and bounds. I know there's some good coaching going on to help him out, but great to see him in the top 20.
Moving forward, back up the order, having a look at some of the fights going on. Tom Alexander here, the young Kiwi, in 9th place in the Track Tech Racing car.
So go back to Sinclair, because we'll
the reigning Super Utes champion, and he's a wild card. He's one of the top 3 in last night's wild card race that has got him a spot again in the field tonight. We might dial in and have a chat to Mike Sinclair, who sits in P20. You are looking the goods for pole position for race 2. No commentator's curse here, mate. How are you tracking?
Well, Moons, I'd do that if I could drive.
That's brutal honesty, Sinkers.
These little things are tougher than Excels, let me tell you.
What do you mean? They can't. Surely they can't be.
When you bump into people, instead of getting this...
Right. You're using the wheels as bumpers again, are you?
I've done that my...
I was going to
Why
say...
should I stop now?
Mike, you're giving yourself a hard mark, because you've got George Medicki behind you, Declan Fraser behind you, you've got Will Brown behind you, Chelsea Angelo. That says you can drive, doesn't it, in front of all those drivers?
No, that said I couldn't do anything but spin off the start, so...
George Medicki's got his way down the inside here. And Medicki's got on through. So the bad news for Mike is that is for 20th. That's the pole position for the second race that's coming up a little bit later on tonight. It's round 5 of carsales ARG eSport Cup. If you've just tuned in, Aaron Noonan and Cameron Vandendungen with you tonight as we take a look back here at Tim Brook in the slightly stealth-looking Morris Finance Garage 1 car. We saw him carry this livery on the Cupra in the final round of TCR Australia last year at the Bend, and there's a car off the road there that was about to pop back out on the road just in front of him. Managed to get through. I think it was Reece Gould in that white and green car, but Brook here runs in 13th place. The next car in front of him for position is Brett Holdsworth in the 99 with just under 7 minutes to go in this first race of the night.
If I remember correctly, at that event last year you were talking about in the Cupra, he was just chasing fuel pressure issues for most of the weekend. It was a tough old weekend as we now look to Ben Bargwanna, the son of Jason Bargwanna. He's out there at the moment, and the development of Ben so far, he jumped into XLs first to get into racing.
Spinner there, that was Michael Clemente, so that was the spot for Bargwanna just as you started on that point.
I was just suggesting that he then moved up into Formula Ford, so he's had a bit of open wheel experience recently. And I was speaking to Jason Bargwanna about the development of Ben so far, and he's been really impressed with the maturity that Ben's had and shown early on in his career. The patience and waiting for the right moment to not get sucked into situations you probably don't need to put yourself in, and he's doing a great job out here as well.
Sits in position 16 at the moment, the Burson Auto Parts car. Great to have Burson Auto Parts with the Bargwannas on their Peugeot in this year's TCR Australia Series, running with GRM. So Bargwanna and GRM getting back together after winning Bathurst 20 years ago. Let's go to a guy who's not even 20. He's 19. Oscar Piastri at the wheel of the number 81 car leads the way with a margin to Nathan Hearn of 1.3 seconds. Nathan Hearn drives Trans Am cars, not Formula 3 cars. You probably couldn't get two more diametrically opposed cars, but to be within 1.3 seconds of a kid who's been the runner-up in the British F4 Championship, the Formula Renault Euro Cup champion of last year, and tabbed as a coming guy because he's part of the Renault Sport Academy program, Hearn is going really well.
When you see some of the names, Hearn's doing a great job. But Piastri, let's talk about that. Last time we saw this many Australians and talented Australians right up there in Formula 1 programs, building through Formula 3, you'd think back to the Courtney Briscoe, Will Power, Will Davison era. When was we haven't really had that sort of plethora of talent when you think of what we've got in this space now. You've got Alex Peroni also running in there with Oscar Piastri. We've got a Callum Williams. He's probably not thereabouts, but we'll find out how he goes throughout this year. But a lot of good, young, talented Australian drivers making their way into international open wheel racing.
Great chance for us to ride on board around this Barcelona circuit with our race leader with 4.5 minutes of racing to go in this first race. Now, last few weeks we've wheeled out some super little facts. Are you ready for a Spanish Grand Prix fact for tonight?
It wouldn't be
Barcelona.
Wouldn't be a day on air without a fact coming out of you.
Well, did you know that this track was the start and finish for one of the events in the Barcelona Olympics? That's pretty cool, huh?
That is very cool.
Yeah, a bit of pedal power, not just horsepower around this Barcelona racetrack, which has been hosting Formula One for many a year. It's a place that Lewis Hamilton's been a star. He's won the last 3 Spanish Grand Prix for the Mercedes team.
It's also a country that loves their motorbike racing, and one of the Australians I haven't mentioned in that was Jack Doohan, who'll be racing in the FIA Formula 3 World Championship as well. Son of Mick Doohan, and doing it on 4 wheels.
This is the World Championship for 11th place in this motor race. Tim Brooke is under fire here from Tom Alexander and Brett Holdsworth. Now, Alexander was in the top 10 a little bit earlier on, and time is ticking. 3.5 minutes to go. The update in the 20th place cup, which gets you pole for the next race. George Medicki is there now. Mike Sinclair's dropped further back down the order. Oh, speeding there in front, so Brooke's gone around right in front of the pack. So 13th place was where he was running. He'll lose a few spots there, and Harley Haber will pick up one, who's on the fight back trail in the Kumho car. Just over 3 minutes to go. Piastri leads 2.3 seconds over Nathan Hearn, and this is the shot on the run down to turn 1. These little Formula 3 cars with 220 horsepower, so the slipstream, mega important. We're on board with Brett Holdsworth, the brother, of course, of Supercars racer Lee, and this is the run through turn 3, this long winding right-hander that takes them into turn 4. This is a really aero-dependent circuit here, the Barcelona venue, and it's really tough, as we mentioned earlier, with Oscar Piastri. There's not too many places to try to make a move. Here's a guy we haven't seen much of, Jay Hansen in the Ash Seawood Motorsport car, car number 9, 4th place. He's at the back of the queue of the leading pack. Tom Randall is about 4 seconds away, but in turn he's got 4 seconds over the next car, which is Jordan Cox. So he's in a really good spot here to bring this home. 31st in the series points coming into tonight, so this will be a nice big bagful for the youngster who made his first appearances with the ASM team with their Alfa Romeo TCR program late last year, and he's got a nice quiet run home here with no one putting pressure on and no one to get in his way with 2 minutes to go. But Piastri and Hearn are the form drivers out front. O'Keefe hanging tough in 3rd spot with Randall next, and Hansen here in 5th with 2 to go now in this first race. It's the halfway mark tonight, Cam. Round 5 of 10 for the carsales ARG eSport Cup. A bit later in the night, we will reveal where we're going next week and in what cars. And there's a few different drivers coming to play next week. I can't name names, but it's there's some good stuff coming.
I'm looking forward to finding out, Noons. I'm glad you're the man with the plan.
I'm not telling you what the plan is, but there is a plan.
I looked at you and you were giving me nothing.
No, absolute donuts. But this guy's giving them donuts too. Piastri leads by 2.5 seconds. He's just been able to break away from Nathan Hearn in these last couple of laps to really bring this on home. We will invert the top 20 on the grid, so he'll have to do it from 20th place in the next race. Braden Wilmington here is in the 20th position at the moment and stands to gain to go to the front of the grid. Total replay here of the young S5000 Racer. And this is the run into the final sector, into this short little chicane section, the left-right that pops them back out onto the circuit. There's that big fat curve that's waiting to grab them, grabs him, costs him 1 spot, but still he's on target for a front row for the second race, where when you mix it up, it really does mix up the race. It is really good stuff. As Piastri now heads out onto the last lap, 4.5 kilometres of the Barcelona Grand Prix circuit. A lap car in front for him to contend with. That is Tim Macro, S5000 Racer and F3 Gold Star champ. And I reckon Oscar would have been a toddler when Tim was winning the Gold Star. And that's not that long ago. Just goes to show how young that Oscar Piastri is.
And it's hard for me to swallow, a bitter pill for me to swallow, that I thought Tim Macro was young. So that really is a concern for me as Oscar Piastri sets off on the last lap. He's done it really nicely throughout and will no doubt keep the nose clean. The gap back 2.75 seconds to Hearn. So he's got plenty up his sleeve on the final lap of race 1.
The last lap, he was still in the 36s, Hearn, and the rest are out in the 37s. Best lap of the race, the 36.8, which is a tenth away really from what he practiced at and 2/10 away from the pole time that Giacomin set, who of course our pole driver is 31st in the order after a spin and another run off the road. So we're on our way home, the first race of 2 tonight in round 5 of the carsales ARG Esports Cup, and I'm not shocked to see Tim Macro step aside there. He knows the deal. He's a pro's pro and gets out of the way to allow Piastri on his way through. So a couple of corners to go, and he's going to bring this home to take the win. He's extended the margin even in the last half a lap. It's 3.2 seconds. Hearn has no problems or no attack from behind. He doesn't need to push. It's a case of bringing it on home through the final couple of corners, and it is the young gun, one of our 2-star drivers tonight. He's a young star on the rise. If you didn't know his name before tonight, you definitely will now. Oscar Piastri takes the win in race 3, round 5 of the carsales ARG Esports Cup. The reigning Formula Renault Euro Cup champion gets the job done on the Barcelona circuit. The margin back to Nathan Hearn is 3.2 seconds. This is the fight between Jordan Cox and Luke King for 6th. It is going to go all the way to the checkered flag. King in the slipstream, trying to find something special at the end. Doesn't quite get there to the finish line. Was a bit too close for him to be able to get on by. So they finish in 6th and 7th. Ricky Capo is next. Here's Aaron Seaton in the fluoro machine. Now, this is the fight for the tail of the 20, 18th and 19th, and Seaton pounces to grab the spot. Once upon a time, it was Glenn and Andrew in Sierras. Now it's Aaron and George in virtual Formula 3 cars.
Good to see George Medicki out there having a run as well. Someone that goes a long way back in the sport's been a former Australian endurance champion, well, part of the championship, and now is dealer principal for the Medicki Motor Group. So he's moved into the world of the executives.
He's going to get a spot on the executive front row for the race coming up because he's finished in 19th, Cam, so that gets him to the front row. I tell you, guy who's finished up the front is our race 1 winner, Oscar Piastri. He will move to 20th on the grid for race 2. Oscar's on the line. I tell you what, that's a bad trophy to cop, isn't it? Congratulations, you've won the race by 3.2 seconds. He's grid position 20. It's a bit rough, isn't it?
Well, I'll take the points for, well, not really getting any points for this race, but yeah, should make race 2 pretty interesting. I think there was a bit of carnage back in the pack, so yeah, had to dodge a couple of lap cars crashing, but all good fun.
Now, Oscar, in the lead up, well, obviously there's been a big build up to 2020 for you and the big announcement, and it's all just been put on hold for you in real world. How much time have you spent on the sim, and what preparation, or where are you at with your 2020 prep?
To be honest, in terms of sim stuff, it's all very different to what we'd be using over in Europe. So it's a lot more for enjoyment and just keeping a couple of laps in a race car going. But yeah, I mean, races like these, you can't practice your racecraft when you're off a racetrack. So yeah, races like these are good for racecraft side of things, and yeah.
Good to chat. All the best for race 2. Keep clear of that carnage, hey?
I'll try to. Thank you.
There he is, our race winner, Oscar Piastri. Hey, let's have a chat to our runner-up, Nathan Hearn. Great points for you, my friend. P2, you come into the points 3rd tonight. Could not have been any better.
Yeah, it was good. After the first race of Monza last week, it's good to get some good points in the full race. So, yeah, we'll see how we go for this reverse grid. Hopefully we keep the nose clean and keep our trouble and make it through turn 1 and 2 nice and clean. That's obviously the goal because, yeah, we'll see, because that's where most of the carnage starts. Try and think of a strategy before we get to turn 1.
Is that strategy sometimes best to be just park it at the side of the track, wait for the 25 other guys to go through? No doubt most of them will all end up wrecking because we've seen plenty of carnage, particularly at Monza. You've got to be so careful, and half the time you get taken out and it's not your fault at all in this.
Exactly. Well, I rewatched the Monza live stream and I saw Harley Haber straight ahead through the first chicane, so might try and do that and see what happens. Try and get away from all the carnage.
All the best for race 2. There he is, Nathan Hearn in the Gulf Western Oils car. 3rd in the points coming into tonight, finishing 2nd in the first race as we get ready for race 2 tonight here on the Barcelona circuit. And we're getting ready for the reverse top 20 race. Aaron Noonan and Cameron Vanderdungen with you. But as we get set for this race, we spoke to him during the course of race one from car sales Mike Sinclair, who's been on an amazing journey enjoying his sim racing in 2020.
Well, the world changed and the motorsport world changed on the Friday of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. You know, we weren't going to be racing on track. The TCRs weren't going to be racing on track. Car Sales is a keen sponsor of the TCR series, so we saw an opportunity to continue to be involved via the ARG Esports Cup. And if I could get any chance to get on the grid of the TCRs in real life, I would have. So it was too good a chance to miss to come and play on Sims as well. Sim racing has been a bit of an eye-opener for me. I expected it, like many, I guess, to be a game, but in these modem sims, it is very real. And I think one of the reasons I've been able to at least put some reasonable times in place, I'm still at the back of the field, but I'm having fun, is that these sims do give you a really genuine experience. It's like driving an actual car. And if you can put yourself literally, well, figuratively in the car and drive it like a race car, you do get learnings, you do get results, and you do get a bit quicker. The racing itself can be pretty fraught, but I race an XL in the real world, and it's pretty fraught with big car fields and that as well. It is a different experience, and there is a whole bunch of learnings you have to do. I think that for me, it's getting that depth perception. It's making sure that I'm braking right in the right positions. I'm not a professional race driver. I do test cars for a living, but that's on the road, and I enjoy club level racing. So being out with these guys who are in the main professional car races, I learn something every lap. Racecraft is something you do learn pretty quickly on these things. That it is a different type of racecraft to the real world. And it's interesting talking to expert sim racers and expert track racers that there is a point where the skills diverge. But I think what's been really good about the Car Sales ARG Esports Cup is that we're basically keeping it the virtual world in the real world. So we've got guys who race professionally, racing like they are in real cars on a sim platform, and that I think is still quite unique. It's a really good experience to be involved in, and from family and friends who are watching it, they're really enjoying it on the telly as well. So driving the Audi for a start was a bit more comfortable for me because it is a little bit more what I'm used to. I've never driven an open wheeler in anger on it, or certainly not in a race. So the F3 car, the learning experience for that's been at a higher level, and then going to circuits that, in my job I get to drive on a few circuits around the world. I've never driven on the Catalonia circuit, so getting to learn that has been a bit of a challenge, and frankly, I don't get on with that circuit all that well so far. Watkins Glen was great fun, and there are places we've been before. Monza, I've been to Monza, I've driven it in the real world, so you do have those references. One thing about these though, about the iRacing models and about these sims, is that if you have been to a track and then you come and race it in the simulator, there is a real direct transfer. It feels like you're there, to the point where, and I've told a couple of people this, that the other day I went to go out of the pits in practice for Watkins Glen, and I had a panic attack because I hadn't done my belts up. So, it is that real, and it's one of the things that I really enjoy.
This is how I'd sell a car. Proper marketing. Put effort into your photos. Value your car appropriately. Like $500, I don't know, take it. I hate it. It's got beautiful signalers. You can put CDs in there. The right pedal goes all the way down, and it's got, it's a gear shift, and it's a stick shift. Sold. Wait, shouldn't this be in the car?
Welcome back, everyone, as we get set for this second race, round 5 of the Car Sales ARG
Esports Cup, Formula 3 Delaras tonight on the Barcelona circuit in Spain, the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. We've got the inverted top 20 grid and on pole position with this one, and he's listening in very intently as he gets ready for this race. Hey, Braden Wilmington, you're a speedway man in your former life before S5000. You should be sweet with reverse grid racing. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm pretty familiar with it with speedway, but this is a whole different ballgame.
We saw a little bit of a spin there late in that first race, a bit of a drama, but you still got your way through the inversion here. So how are you going to cope with this first corner with a pile of fast guys trying to catch you in those first few laps?
It'll be tough, but it's still not too much different to what I'm used to in speedway. It'll be tricky. I'm still trying to get used to this whole turning left and right. But yeah, no, it's good fun. This series is pretty good, and to be sitting 17th in the championship, I'm pretty happy.
Good to chat to you, mate. All the best with this one. It's great to have you in the S5000 for this year and part of this Esports Cup. It's a bit of fun while we can't go racing for real.
Thank you. And I just got to thank Signage One, Facet at 124 Jeweler, Blast It, Sandblasting, and Sledgehammer's Apparel Australia for helping me out with the 5000 and also supporting me through the E-Series.
I think he's got every sponsor plug in there. I think he's nailed all of them.
Hey, credit where credit's due. First one to actually get the sponsor plugs in. Great job.
He is. Hey, let's have a chat to the reigning carsales TCR Australia Series champion. Coming into tonight, 49th in the series points. Will Brown, you have not done much to pick your way up the order because last time I saw your car, it had 2 wheels on it.
I haven't done much apart from crashing. That's about it so far. But yeah, no, that race is a bit frustrating. Just got taken out by lap traffic when we're in 13th. It seems to happen a lot in this.
Are you going to launch a protest or make a complaint? What are you going to do?
Oh, I'm waiting for him in warm-up right now. No point putting a protest in. But we're having a bit of fun. We've started up a team, LBRT, Leanne Brown Racing Team. So got a few people in it.
So, Will, you clearly have identified who it was that you felt compromised race 1, and you said you're waiting for them in warm-up. Can you name them, please? Name and shame, Will Brown.
I think it was Brent Hurd or someone like that. So I'm waiting for him. He hasn't come out of the pits yet, though. But back to Leanne Brown Racing Team. We've got a few good drivers in it. We've got Randall, Jay Hansen, Stevie Johnson, and not a big budget racing team, but everyone's doing their job.
All right, we'll let you go and do your job to fight your way back through from the talent pack. Get ready for race 2, William.
Cheers.
There he is, Will Brown, the reigning TCR Australia Series champion, former Formula 4 champ as well. He does know his way around open-wheeler race cars. Let's see if he can fight his way up through the order. Getting ready for race 2, round 5 of the carsales ARG Esports Cup. While we can't go racing for real, Cam, this is our way of bringing the motorsport community together. We have brought together drivers from all sorts of categories from under the ARG umbrella, from Trans Am, from Touring Car Masters, the V8 Touring Car Series, TCR Australia and New Zealand, S5000, Trans Am. I think I got them all in. 44 drivers set to go for the second race. We invert the grid, and it's Braden Wilmington who will start from the pole position. George Medicki and Aaron Seaton are right in the mix, and we will have to keep an eye on Oscar Piastri. Does he survive the first few corners with the craziness that goes on in the reverse grid race? Let's take a look at the way that they will line up, and that is the original qualifying order, so that doesn't quite work for what we need here. This is what we want. Wilmington, Medicki and Seaton. You'd think it was a touring car race from the 90s.
Hey, I'm looking forward to gorgeous George Medicki getting well and truly after it at the start of this.
He sounds like he's from World Championship Wrestling when you call him that.
The other nickname for him is Georges, and I think he gave himself that nickname. Aaron Seaton, Ben Barguana, Michael Clemente there as well, not far away from a race start.
Here we go. Another 20 minutes on the clock. Half points for this race. Reverse grid at Barcelona. Braden Wilmington flying the flag for S5000 on the run to turn 1. Can he get away from the pole position? We are set to go. Medicki alongside Seaton, who's wearing the Gelderwen Glenn Seaton race suit tonight. He mixes it up at home on the Gold Coast. He is good to go from the second row of the grid. We are ready to get going. 20 minutes of racing on the clock. It's the halfway mark of the series. Round 5 of 10. Barcelona, the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. Full field of Formula 3 Delaras set to be let loose on this run to turn 1. There's the light sequence. They all explode into wheel spin. Away we go to turn 1, and there's contact already. Aaron Seaton launched into the air. Wilmington, our poleman, is back to P6 or 7 before we've even got to the first corner.
I'm actually watching Piastri. He's gone very conservative to the outside. We make our way through turn 1, 3 wide. We'll see if they came out the other side, because turn 1 and 2 quite tricky corners before we make our way through turn 3. We've now got action back underway through turn 3 and heading towards turn 4 as well. Very long sweeping corners, hard on those tyres.
Now it's time to make some spots, take the opportunity while the tyres are coming up to temperature on this platform of racing. The weather, the temperature is locked in. Oh, contact in the background there. I think that was John Martin. It was getting spun around in the background. There he is, car 24, the Wall Racing car, was running the top few. That will drop him way back down the order as they sort themselves out on this opening lap. That's Harley Haber in car 21 in second position. Had a tough first race, but our points leader coming into tonight is really in the battle. Our leader is Ben Bargwanna in the Burson Auto Parts 117 car. The run down the back straight on this first of the laps that will count. It's a timed race, 20 minutes. Looking here at Tim Brook with Wilmington just in behind. And Haber, I thought that this reverse grid race would really help him out, because if he gets near the front, he's really hard to catch, no matter whether it's been in the Audi touring car in the first few rounds or the F3 car in this week or last week. He is unbelievably quick, and that is Declan Fraser in the 777 car with a moment trying to recover and get himself going. In fact, that car's broken. It's spun at the next corner. How's Piastri going? 12th. He's passed 8 before the end of lap 1. Not bad.
He's going well, and we keep an eye on him. You can see right there in the Renault Formula 1 inspired livery, down into turn 1, just pulls out to give himself a good run down there. So this is, decides to pull back in and get a nice sweeping line through turn 1.
Well, Aaron Cameron in turn had a toe on Nathan Moore, so that allowed him to get away from Piastri, who'd used the toe to try to slingshot. He's past the Valvoline car. They sweep their way through turn 3. That's Nathan Morecambe in the HMO Customer Racing entry, car number 11 out wide there. Piastri picks up a spot there to move on through. Haber is now the leader of the race as Piastri, the race 1 winner, slots it down the inside. He's on the outside for the next turn that will bring them out of turn 5 towards the sweeper at 6, but he stays wide, uses the curb in the AstroTurf. Now it's a drag race to 6. Will he get the spot? No, he's out wide in the dirty stuff there, but he's on the inside for the next turn. Bit of a bump on the way through, but he's got it done. It took 3 corners, but he got there eventually.
So continues his march up into 11th. Looks at Luke King just up the road from him. And it was a lot of use of tyres there for the car behind Aaron Cameron. Just looked a bit taily out of a couple of corners. And we'll continue to watch. Harley Haber leads this one, but let's have a look at the Total replay. This involves Tony D'Alberto. Let's have a look. We talked about inverted grid.
Oh, he's been given a bit of a touch on the way through there. Nick Carroll's already missing the rear wing off his car there on the inside. And I've got a funny feeling I know where this is going to be. There's going to be contact here between those two. It doesn't seem to be. It was a bit further on. Declan Fraser, oh boy, huge drama. Look at that on the pit straight. There's cars here, there, and everywhere. Stephen Johnson's been taken to the pit lane. Oh boy, this is absolute chaos. Hard to know who was doing what to where, and D'Alberto now has had a run off the road down at turn 1 and 2. So wild stuff. Tim Brook here fighting with Braden Wilmington. That's for 6th place. Haber's already got a lead, 2.6 seconds. Dive bomb from Wilmington. Good move. Nice authoritative pass. That earns the pole man back a spot. But Haber leads, 2.6 seconds the margin to Tom Randall. Mediki next from Holdsworth, Clemente, Wilmington, Brook, Piastri, P8 from 20th on the grid in 2 laps. The kid is good. He is starting to carve his way right through the pack. He's just in the back of shot there in that yellow Renault livery car. There he is, car number 81. Pace to burn, and he's working his way forward. As we look a little bit further back in the pack, the fringe and the tail of the top 10. And that's Ben Bargwanna, the Burson car, who led in the early stages of this race. We didn't quite pick up what happened to Ben in the 117 car, but he's now fighting with Aaron Cameron. Of course, they are both Peugeot TCR drivers for Gary Rogers Motorsport, and at the moment they are 10th and 11th in the race, with Nick Carroll just up in front. On this long run down this long front straight, pulling out of the toe and diving to the inside at turn 1. Remember, this is a 20-minute timed race. We are a quarter of the way through, and we will reveal before the end of tonight's race the location of next week's round for round 6.
Any hints for us? Could it be somewhere like the home of the old Mr. Whippy Grand Prix?
No.
So we're not going to Sandown?
You might be in the right country.
So it is going to be Australia, probably.
Yeah, I think it might be. We will reveal all before the race tonight. Harley Haber is our leader at the moment. No more clues. You've had
Morgan
your one
Park.
clue. No, I'm not telling you anything. You just have to wait and listen while everybody else will learn a bit later on at the same time. We will reveal all very soon. That's the thing we love about not knowing where we're going next. With the racing calendar, you've got it all year. You know the dates and the rounds and where you are and what you're doing. But in this, we keep it up our sleeve just a little bit. Hey, Haber, he's out in front. 2.7 seconds the margin. Here's Piastri working over the back of Braden Wilmington in the fight for 6th place. This is on the run down to the chicane that brings them onto the pit straight. Turns 14 here, 15's the right-hander before they get to turn 16 on the straight. Seaton and Morecambe here, a bit further back in the pack. Reece Gould's been off the road, the TCR New Zealand racer. Total Replay might give us a little bit more of the story here. Fighting with Nathan Morecambe. Yep, I've seen that one happen before at this track over the years. Get the car going and running again, but a little clash of wheels out of that left-hander that leads straight to the right-hander. And this is the onboard with Nathan Morecambe, who won the last race last year of carsales TCR Australia at the Ben Motorsport Park. Got down the inside and then the switchback was on. There is Gould, and there's the little touch between them off the road, and you can see the right front there starts to flap around in the Hankook. Anytime that you can read Hankook on the tyre, it means that tyre's going far too slow than that car would like to be going. But Haber, he's going quickly. He's extending the lead, Cam. 3.1 seconds as we look back to Ben Barguana here in a fight with Ben McMallen. So the Bens are hanging out together in the fight for 12th place.
So Ben Barguana, just up the road from Tom Alexander, the Kiwi racer who's just in front of Tim Macro as well. And there's a lot of cars that are starting to close up at the moment on this battle in front. So Barguana is in the mix here. This is heading towards the top 10. They're outside of it at the moment. Jordan Cox just up the road from them. He's sitting in P11 at the moment. We're nearly halfway through this race, and it's Harley Haber, Tom Randall, George Miedeke. But Piastri's the big move up into 6th now, just behind Mike Clemente, and he goes fastest on that last sector as well, or the last lap. So watch out for Piastri, the man on the move.
So if we do the numbers, he's 13 seconds away from motor race. He's just lapped in a 1:36.9, so he's a couple of tenths faster than the leaders of the race. With the time on the clock, he hasn't got enough time to get to the lead, but he's got time to grab another couple before this one's over. Just over 11 minutes to go on the clock. The VHT leaderboard shows you who runs where at the moment. Field of 44 tonight for this 5th round of the series. It is a big list of names with such a diverse background. They're driving in all sorts of places around Australia, New Zealand, and the world. I mean, you take into account, we've got Ash Sutton racing in the UK, we've got Garth Tander here a couple of doors from us at the Melbourne Performance Centre. Some drivers I know in previous weeks, Nathan Morecambe's been racing from HMO Customer Racing Workshop. It's great to bring together the motor racing community as Piastri now makes the dive on Clemente. That is for P5. Next on the list is Brett Holdsworth, who is about 5 seconds down the road from the Renault Young Guns. So a chance here with some clear road to work his way forward as we look back here to this fight with Tim Reynolds, who is 8th, Tim Brook, who is 9th, and Jordan Cox rounds out the 10. So it settles into a bit of a pattern here where you get the madness of the first lap or two out of the way, we stretch the field out, and we form a few battle packs here and there. And that's what we've got here, just at the tail of the top 10, but it's so close and it's so difficult to get a run on anybody and find a place by. Let's have a chat to the man who runs in 3rd spot at the moment. He races a Trans Am car these days, but George Miedeke, this Formula 3 thing's going pretty well for you.
Yeah, mate. Once I got rid of my bad luck, that is. I'm sitting here battling with the guys in 30th for some reason, but no, I'm enjoying the car, mate. It's good fun, and especially on a track like this where there's a lot of flow, and the car, you get to sort of lean on the aero, so it's good fun.
George, it's Cam Vanendungen here, mate. This would be the first time in your life a guy who's about 7'10" is able to fit in a Formula 3 car, wouldn't it?
Well, mate, that's the only reason I didn't race them, mate. I couldn't fit, literally. So I got an offer once of driving a Formula Holden one weekend for free in like a club series race, and I just literally couldn't get in it. So it's pretty cool to be able to run around and especially with as I said, with the guys that we're racing against here. There's a lot of good blokes here, so I'm just enjoying testing myself.
Now, how are you finding time to even get some sim laps in? You're dealer principal at the Medici Motor Group. You're a family man, a dad. How are you finding the time?
Mate, it's the only way I'm blowing off steam these days. So I'm waking up at like 5:30 in the morning and doing laps on my own before I go to work. So it's been interesting, and especially with everything that's going on. We got a lot on our plate. We employ 115 people, so there's plenty going on, but I'm just loving it, mate. It's good fun, and finally getting rid of this bad luck for once.
Hey, we'll let you go. You are leading the Trans Am drivers, but the next one, Brett Holdsworth's not that far behind you on the road, so we'll let you get back into the mission here as you run P3. Good stuff.
Yeah, mate. I had about 3.5 seconds on him, and I got caught up in those laps. So hopefully I can stretch it out a little bit and bring home a podium.
All right, pressed on.
Thanks, mate.
I love how we blame the lap cars and not the commentators for losing time. Normally it's our fault, but that time around we're in the clear. Hey, here's the TPS group car. Brett Holdsworth in the 99. Piastri's behind him and is closing in. Last time around, Oscar's time, 36.8, fastest lap of the motor race. Brett Holdsworth, a 138.2. I wasn't that good at maths, but the numbers are not looking good for Brett here because Piastri has time to get to him with 7.5 minutes on the clock.
He's going to have to get that Brett jet going if he's going to get in front of or stay in front of Oscar Piastri. And George Medici, what's this move he's saying?
This is Ash Sutton in the Panther Fuel car. He's had a dirty night. He's 16th at the moment. He's just got to move on Nick Carroll, who's just given him one back and sent the Brit off the road. I reckon that's going to get looked into after tonight. It has been a dirty one for Ash Sutton, who's been a star in the carsales ARG eSport Cup. Car off the road there as well at the bottom of screen. So they're starting to fall off with 7 minutes to go. And Carroll here is 17th. Hearn and Barguan are in front. So Hearn hasn't been able to make his way forward in the field from the reverse grid format. But remember that he came into the round tonight just 3 points behind Ash Sutton for second in the series. So he'll walk away tonight with a comfortable second. Bad news is, though, that Harley Haber is the leader, who's not doing very well for himself, Harley Haber. When he goes to the front and disappears by 6 seconds over Tom Randall, he gets no coverage because he's so far in front, he's not fighting with anybody at all.
So tyres will really be hurting at this point of the race. That's where you're seeing them just get a bit loose and passing becomes even harder before. You see them moving around. Yep, just trying to cover off and break the slipstream.
Oh, there's major weaving. Drivers were penalised for excessive movement of direction on the front straight, and I reckon there was a bit of zigging and zagging going on there that was a bit over the line on what needs to be done. But this fight's still going on with Carroll and Hearn. It's for 15th place with 5.5 minutes to go. And Hearn needs a couple of extra points here. It is a half points race. It's not the full points of race one because of the inversion of the top 20 on the grid. But nevertheless, a few points here and there that you can claim in the dying stages of a race might just come in very handy at the end of 10 rounds of the carsales ARG eSport Cup. Of course, Nick Carroll we've seen race in the Kumo V8 Touring Car Series for Matthew White's team. He's representing Trans Am in this category tonight. We look here at Braden Wilmington, who's in a bit of a fight. Our pole sitter has done a nice job. He's hung in the top 10. He's running 8th at the moment, and that's Jordan Cox right in behind, who is going to get a big run here and dive to the inside at turn 16. He won't quite be in the gap. Yes, he will be. He's got that done with Wilmington out wide, and now it's a drag race with these Formula 3 Delaras. They are pegged. Absolutely flat strap, 220 odd horsepower from these little 4-cylinder cars, but the drivers love them because they've got so much aero
as they dive to turn 1 there, and Cox is a little bit deeper to claim that turn. Haber's lead 5.9 seconds, so Tom Randall's chipped away just a little bit, but he hasn't got the pace. Harley Haber's on target for another win in this carsales ARG Esports Cup. Clemente has had a spin. He was running so well, and he manages to turn it around without the field making contact with the Worth number 15 car. So we'll have a look on the Total replay here, and it's a DIY. Exit of turn 3. I've seen this one before. Loses the rear to the inside. Oh, he's gone over as well, and he's managed to drive away. Lucky. I think you look up the dictionary. That one's lucky. There goes the rear. Left front, rear, into the concrete. Up it goes, over it goes. Lands itself. Flick spins, gets going. 9.5 from the Australian judge.
Great bit of entertainment there for our crowd that are riveted.
They haven't moved.
This spot. They have not moved.
Entire race tonight. It's really good stuff. As Harley Haber leads the way, just over 3 minutes to go in this final race. Piastri sits in 4th. He's closing in on George Medicki, and ta-da! This time next week, round 6 of the series, we're going to the island, Phillip Island's Grand Prix circuit, with the Formula 3 car still. We'll stay in the Delaras, but we are going to Phillip Island, of course, the home of the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix, the home of the birth of the Armstrong 500. Yep. That became the Bathurst 1000. That'll be good stuff with a lot of drivers that know their way around that track, and a lot of them in these types of cars.
It'll be interesting to see if the Phillip Island Auto Racing Club recovery crew get their act together. I wonder what they're going to do for their simulation, as Oscar Piastri is now chasing very close to the back of...
There's cars everywhere. There's cars off the road. There's lap cars. He's got it all going on
up
here.
Into 4th. That's outstanding. From all the way back in 20th, Oscar Piastri up into 4th.
He's not done with yet, because Medicki's within reach. He can get to him before this race finishes. 2.5 minutes on the clock. The big question here is not whether Harley Haber's got a big enough margin to win. He does. Randall's got a big enough margin to get second. The big question here is, can Medicki hang on for 3rd spot with the charging young gun, Oscar Piastri, who is coming on strong, just over 2 minutes to go, and that Renault HB Tuners car is closing in. Medicki's had to pass a few lap cars here. It's cost him time at the wrong part of the track. Now he's on him. Turn 15, turn 16, onto the front straight on the Barcelona circuit. He's in the tow. He's absolutely got the run down the front straight. 2 minutes to go, and Piastri from 20th on the grid is on the fight. He's going through to 3rd. Can Medicki hang wide? No, he'll give it away. 4th place is better than a run off the road at turn 1, and Piastri is through into 3rd position. What a fight back from our star driver. We are going to have a star, in essence a guest driver, join us for the rest of the series. They'll be named in the lead up to each of the rounds, as they'll join the ARG regular drivers from the various categories in this category. As we look here at Aaron Cameron fighting with Braden Wilmington, they are still warring over 8th place.
No hints for this driver that we're going to have? Special guess?
No hints.
No hints?
No.
You don't want to think about it?
No, find out during the week. Follow the social media of the ARG categories, TCR Australia and the like. I don't like to give things away. Hey, Nick Carroll here, Nathan Hearn. This is on. This is a good fight. 12th and 13th, and Hearn is just trying to get in the tow. See the drivers using all of that curb on the run-in before the swing to this right-handed turn 4. This is turn 5 coming up. Just starts to drop away a little bit. A lot of these corners on this Barcelona track can suck you in. You think there's more corner than there actually is, and then all of a sudden you're running away and you're on the exit of the road. This little left-right kink's the next part coming up before the run down the back straight.
Yeah, you hear a lot of drivers, and I watched a fair few discussions about this track, and they talk about just going on camber early into the corner that can suck you in quickly to the corner, but really throw you off for the exit as well. It's very technical circuit, quite hard on tyres as well, very hard to pass.
We've seen that tonight. We haven't seen a whole pile of passing manoeuvres. It's hard to get close enough to the car in front. That is what Nathan Hearn is trying to do as he tries to wrestle 12th place away from Nick Carroll. We're on the run home. The clock has hit 0, and Harley Haber is on his way home to another win. He's racking up the virtual trophies in the carsales ARG eSport Cup. His margin is 8 seconds to Randall, as Carroll now a little bit wide, a little bit to lower on straight. Hearn's got a run, but he's out of the toe, and they've both hit the virtual wall of F3 where they just don't have any more grunt to power one another by. Hearn, though, will get the spot.
Randall and Piastri, the gap very close now. So we know we're about to count this one down. The checker flag's about to fly, but that gap for second, the battle between Randall and Piastri, very close.
I thought Randall was going to be safe in second with the margin that he had, but maybe not the case. Piastri's come on strong in the final couple of laps. He's kept the pace going, and he has punched out lap times like you would not believe. He's still running in the 36s. Here he is. Randall last time was a 38.2, so that's given him a big chance to get close, but a couple of corners to go. Final turn awaits. The Kumho tyre car, Harley Haber, our series points leader, bounces back. A rough race one. He takes the win in race 2, round 5 of the carsales ARG Esports Cup, and he does it in style. Randall will make it home in second spot, and from 20th on the grid, Oscar Piastri, our star driver, has starred again. Stunning drive as we look back to this fight between Hearn, who's got in front of Nick Carroll in the run home for position number 12, just outside the 10, but every point counts. That's important for him. Second in the series at the halfway mark, with Phillip Island awaiting in 7 nights' time.
The bit that got me there was Piastri got in under a second from Randall in second. Unbelievable from 20th. What a great race from him.
Let's have a chat to our winner, Harley Haber. Congratulations, well done. That was a dominant performance.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, definitely a bit better than what this first race was. But yeah, obviously just didn't get the best result in the first race. Just net code there between me and Ash. But yeah, obviously to then kind of sift through all the carnage in the second race and take home a win is, I guess, the best result I could ask for out of all of that.
Very quick one for you. Next round, do you know where we're racing yet?
I don't know where I'm racing yet. Do I have to fork the wallet out again?
Hey, if you want to pay us, sure, absolutely. We'll let you have a go. Phillip Island is the track for next week.
Fantastic.
Formula 3 cars. You sound like you're pretty okay with that.
Yeah, that should be fine, mate. I've done 1 or 2 laps around there, so yeah, we should be all good.
I was going to say, Phillip Island's cut a fair groove in that circuit, just like the groove you cut at the old disco at Phillip Island back in the days, Noons.
I don't know what you're talking about, Cameron. Hey, Harley, we'll let you go. I'll let this guy go as well because it's nearly past his bedtime. Well done tonight.
Thanks, fellas. Take it easy.
There he is, Harley Haver. He's not taking it easy in the carsales ARG Esports Cup.
No.
He has been the pace setter of the last few weeks, that's for sure. He gets the win. Tom Randall home in second spot from Oscar Piastri, our race 1 winner. Mediki next from Holdsworth, then Tim McReynolds, Jordan Cox, Aaron Cameron, Braden Wilmington in the top 10 in 9th place, and Tom Alexander, the Kiwi, rounded out the top 10. There is the final results. It was 8.7 seconds in the end, the margin from Harley Haber back to Tom Randall. So great mix of drivers, open wheeler young guns, Trans Am drivers, TCR drivers as well, S5000 competitors. That's the beauty of the carsales ARG Esports Cup, where we mix it up and just about anyone and everyone from all the backgrounds under the ARG umbrella has a run in this series. That is the way that they finished in the top 10 as we bring to a close our 5th round tonight of the carsales ARG Esports Cup. Next week, we head to Phillip Island. Tune in Thursday, May 6th from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Wherever you're watching around the world, make sure you get your time clock in order and you can join us for all the action as we take the Formula 3 cars to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. I think that's us done, Cam. You good? We're done? We're finished? Do you enjoy it?
I did. I'm looking forward to the virtual after party now as well.
I will virtually not be doing that. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining again tonight. Make sure you join us in a week's time for round 6 of the series from the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Time. I'm Aaron Noonan. He's Cameron Vandenberg. Thanks for joining us again tonight. We'll see you next week.